Hi everybody, I'm Fran Spielman, and with me is Transportation Commissioner Rebekah Scheinfeld. I think you're our first non-political guest.
Well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. Happy to be here.
Well, happy holidays, happy new year, and happy flyover. You finally got something open.
Yes, we're really pleased and excited to have opened this major portion of the flyover, bringing one of the most important safety aspects to the project to the public, and that's grade separation of the Lakefront Trail crossing at Grand and Illinois. For many years, decades, people have been complaining about congestion there and traffic safety issues where you have the two signalized intersections at Grand and Illinois. So yesterday we opened the flyover, portion of the flyover, that goes all the way from Ohio Street Beach, Jane Addams Park on the north, flying over the intersections of Grand and Illinois and connecting back into the lower level of the Lakeshore Drive Bridge.
So what took so long and why did it cost so much?
This is a very complex project and we're really pleased to be bringing it to fruition. It's been talked about for decades and it took the mayor's leadership to bring the necessary resources and focus to the project. So I think the fact that people have been calling for it for so long is a testament to its value. And we have remained committed to this project and are committed to seeing it through. We have the whole project under contract now and underway. It's fully funded and we're really pleased to have opened that major segment to the public. And we're already getting great positive feedback from the public. We were out there yesterday for a while and so many people were excited to be riding on it. You can see images of it behind us and you see the separation of pedestrians and bicyclists.
And the rest of it when?
We'll finish out the rest of the bike ped work around the end of next year. And there's a lot of investments that are also necessary to the bridge itself, the roadway bridge over Lakeshore Drive. Over 125,000 vehicles are using that bridge every day, and it needs major structural investments. And so out of efficiency, we're doing all of that together. So drivers will start to see some different lane configurations and staging during construction starting in the spring.
And the cost will be $64 million?
For the flyover. That's the cost for the flyover, yes, over the 3 phases.
And the total thing?
There's an additional $25 million in investments on the roadway section of the bridge. We're replacing a large component of the structural members, all the grading, so a major rehab of that bridge.
Okay. Now a delegation came back this week from California after a very bumpy but exhilarating and a little bit slow test ride on the Elon Musk tunnel system. What did that test say about its viability in Chicago, do you think?
Oh, I think it was a great example of a step forward, and that, as Deputy Mayor Rebekah has said, this isn't radical new technology. It's a Tesla in a tunnel, and it's a very basic thing that I think all Chicagoans can understand and be excited about. So the delegation that went out to the Los Angeles area recently for that opening was part of showing proof of concept, essentially. And it's still in development. We are still at the table in negotiations, but as Mayor Emanuel has said, this could be a transformative transportation investment for Chicago and contribute to our continued economic development and competition as a world-class city.
Do you really think that there's a market of people who will pay $25 or more per ride to get to O'Hare a few minutes faster?
Oh, I do. I think there's a huge market today of people who are paying much more than that to get frustrated sitting in a vehicle on the Kennedy because of the congestion of the Kennedy. Putting in this alternative, I think will actually there'll be a huge demand for it. And there's a great segment of more premium business travelers or international travelers that are headed downtown and to places close by to downtown. So essentially building this high-speed connection would shrink the figurative space as well as the literal space between downtown and O'Hare, bridging the economies of downtown and international connections of O'Hare. So we can see more economic development downtown, more tourism, more business, more conferences downtown, and that has a very powerful multiplier effect for the city.
They can already ride the CTA for a fraction of the cost. You don't think business travelers want to do that?
They can ride the CTA, and I think the CTA Blue Line is fantastic. I ride it every day myself.
Why do we need this then?
CTA has continued to invest and modernize in the Blue Line with the Your New Blue program, nearly $500 million of investments. The fact is it's apples and oranges. We expect that the mode shift, if you will, the travel choices that they're making today compared to who would choose to take the system built by the Boeing company would primarily be people who are actually taking livery, taxis, rideshare, and who want that more express or customized service. So I think you'd see some switch over from the Blue Line, but for people who are working at O'Hare or economy travelers, it's probably less likely.
So how will the contract be structured then? If it's such a winner and you think there's this huge market, then will the city get a cut of the fares and a cut of the advertising revenues?
All those questions are part of our negotiations with the Boring Company, and we are still at the table with them, working diligently to craft and hammer out what we think is the best deal available for the taxpayers of the city. And we look forward to putting that to the City Council for their consideration.
I know, but can you promise Chicago that it won't be a deal structured like the parking meters where we hand it over, they get all the revenue for the next 75 years, and the taxpayers get the shaft?
I think we have to remember that this asset doesn't exist today. It's apples and oranges from the parking meter situation. Today, we have the choices we've already covered. We've got the congested Kennedy, we've got the Blue Line, and then other points to other destinations for people not going downtown. This would be additive to the city, and this would be totally at the risk of the Boring Company. And it's not too often when you have a private partner coming forward offering to make a major upwards of $1 billion private investment in transportation infrastructure that could have a real catalytic effect on our economy, as well as supporting our efforts to take cars off of the Kennedy, reduce congestion, reduce emissions, and overall grow our transportation options in the city.
Right, but again, if it's as big a winner as you describe it to be, then shouldn't the taxpayers get a cut of it in going forward?
I think
it's our streets, it's our underground.
Sure, and that's part of our conversations, is how do we structure and how do we predict the future? What are the different risks and opportunities, both for the public sector and the private sector? That's why they call it a public-private partnership. And
so will
all of
there
these
be
things
a cut
are
for the taxpayers if this is a big winner?
We are still at the table negotiating, and that type of question and all the other major business terms of such a deal will be part of an agreement that will be put to the City Council for their consideration.
But why shouldn't this wait for the new mayor?
Our task at hand is to hammer out this deal. We have a great opportunity with a private willing partner at the table. Again, this is an example of a project that's been called for decades. Mayor Daley tried several times to take a cut at this. It was never successful. We are very close here, and I think that's what we have to keep in mind, is that we have a great opportunity. We would not like to see this go to waste. Ultimately, this is going to be up for approval of City Council, and I'd hope that they don't let it sit idle and risk that that partner would walk away if it's not approved in a timely manner.
Yeah, are you thinking that the mercurial Mr. Musk would walk away?
I can't speak for him. I think they're very interested in this. This is an opportunity to continue to build to scale the transportation system that they're envisioning. The preview, essentially, of what they're opened in the mile-long tunnel in Hawthorne is just a taste of what's possible bringing this to scale. And as he himself has said, Chicago presents a great opportunity to bring it to that next level. 17 miles, connection, to really see the value of that and not just a quick 1 mile test experience.
And what about the naysayers who are worried about what they'll find underground, the damage to buildings above, the technology being unproven, the market, all the doubters? What do you say to them?
I would go back to this and say it's a Tesla in a tunnel. We build tunnels, and tunnels are built all over the world on a regular basis. This is taking it to a very ambitious scale, and Mr. Musk has made it a point to work to improve efficiencies in tunneling technology. That's basically his business model, but it's not radically different. It's putting improvements on the processes that are already in place. CDOT just finished a tunnel this year. We dug a mile under Foster Avenue for the Albany Park stormwater diversion tunnel. We coordinated very carefully with all of the above ground users, a hospital. We had a lot of sensitive users there. We were very successful, no problems there. And so we would expect nothing less.
How do you feel about Gary Chico talking about getting rid of the infrastructure trust? That's kind of been a bust.
The Infrastructure Trust has been a great partner to CDOT. And in fact, they've brought expertise and additional resources, human resources in terms of expertise, to bring to fruition a number of really challenging projects that were not cookie cutter. The Chicago Smart Lighting Program is a great example where the CIT was a partner with CDOT and
You couldn't have done that on your own?
We could not have done it in terms of the expertise it took bringing experts from the private sector and other government, like federal government experts, bringing in that knowledge, helping us to set up a very sophisticated procurement for a public-private partnership. Ultimately, it's all public dollars, but there's a lot of private technology information there that we're able to leverage through the Infrastructure Trust resources and research, helping us to craft what was an iterative multi-step procurement that has resulted in a great project for Chicagoans. Again, a situation with our outdated lighting infrastructure that has been plaguing Chicago for some time.